I can see that I have subtotals here. So from the subtotals, I can choose to not show them at all, or I can show them at the top, which is the way they are now, or the bottom, which is actually what I prefer. And this way you can see that it does kind of clear this out, so you have somewhat of a blank row here. Just to me, it makes it look a little bit cleaner. And now I have the subtotals for the year down here. So to me, I like that look a little bit better. It's really up to you. There's also grand totals. So that would be the one at the bottom. I can turn it off for rows and columns, or on for either one of them, or on for both. So if I wanted to, let's say I just wanted it on one of them, so you'll see it just gives me the grand total here. So really up to you and what you're looking for in your data. You also have some report layouts that are a little bit different, and what we're looking at right now is the compact view. You also have the outline view, which will show you the column names and the row names. So you'll be able to see those labels there. And just switching back so you can kind of see what that looked like in the compact one, it does shrink the table a little bit. So if you have a really large one, you may want to go with the compact. But maybe in this case, we don't really need to. We can expand that out a little bit. And now I can see that this is the company and this is the year. Other option that you have is the tabular form, which again is going to throw that additional information in. And I can repeat item labels or not. To me, this looks a little bit messy. I'd rather not do that. Again, it's a preference. So there are some design options that you have there that you can take a look at. Blank rows I can insert after, so that kind of breaks it up a little bit. So again, you have those options as well. Some of the other things that you might want to take a look at, I'm just going to switch this back to the compact view, are banded rows. And banded rows are going to give you that shading, and sometimes that's helpful when you're looking at a lot of data. It's a little bit easier to keep your place of what you're looking at. And the other option is banded columns. So it really depends on the data that you're looking at and what makes sense to kind of highlight or emphasize certain pieces of that data. And then, of course, like a table, we have all of these options here, and I'm just clicking on that little drop-down arrow right there to show me all of them. And as I move my mouse over the different ones, I can see I have a live representation of what that's going to look like. So no question there. When I pick one, I'm going to be able to see it. That one's kind of neat. It shades the years differently. So I'm just going to go ahead and I guess I'll pick this one. And if you pick it and you move your data around and you decide that you don't like it, it's very easy to just come over and pick a different one. So really easy to change the look of that. One of the things that we talked about earlier was being able to add data to your table and being able to refresh or update your pivot table. And the way to do that, by the way, is on the Analyze or Options page. There is a refresh button, or you can see here you've got that tip that you can use Alt and F5. So you just want to be in your table, do Alt F5, or you can do a refresh here, and it's going to update that data. Let's create one from this sales. And what I've done here is actually added my sales column. But let's say that I needed to add some data for 2016. And because we're just doing this as an example, I'm going to go ahead and select 2015, and I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to paste it down here at the bottom. And actually, we're only halfway through our year, so I'm going to delete that. Going to then go up to the Music Man for 15, and I'm going to select that through June, copy that, and I'm just doing Control-C and Control-V to copy and paste that in. And then I'm going to come here, and I'm going to make this 2016. Doing a Control-Enter to change these all to 16. So now I have some additional information that I've just added to this table, and I can actually see that when I create the pivot table, this data is automatically going to be included. But even better, I'm just going to back this out so you can kind of see where we started. And I'm going to create a pivot table here. And pretty quickly, I can do that. There's my table. Looks good. New worksheet. I love it. And again, just kind of duplicating what we've looked at before, putting revenue down here. And let's put the year there and the quarter. So pretty much I've duplicated what we had before. And this is based on the sales information here. So I'm just going to type sales pivot just to keep me straight. All right. So back and looking at this data, just switching back to the pivot again, I'm looking at the grand total, 3683. And down here I can see, oops, if I add that column, let's just do that real quick. Go into Design tab, add the total row, and not what I expected to see there. Let's see. Oh, it is the sum. Kind of, oh, I know why, because I'm looking at sales instead of the revenue. So if we add this up, I'm sure that we'll get that, but let's just do it real quick. All right, so down over here, if you can see where my mouse is circling, I see that sum, 3683, and now going back and looking at that sales pivot, there it is, 3683. We'll just write it right here so we can remember. Now going back to the sales, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to take off that total row, and then I'm going to add that data back in as I did before. So I'm going to come down to 15, select that, and even though I'm copying and pasting this data, you could see how easy it would be to actually, insert it from another place. So if you just got updates and you need to add that additional information, really quick to be able to add it to the table and be able to update that pivot table. So again, just changing that to 16. So this is all included. Now I'm going to come back to my sales pivot, click on that, and here I can see I still have that information there, but I'm going to go over to my Analyze tab, click Refresh, and now I see that it has refreshed it. It's added 16, and I can see there is my new sum of the revenue that's there. So you can see that in a matter of probably less than a minute, I could really add additional data and update this summary and have all of that information and been able to manipulate it in all the ways that I need to be able to do. Okay. A couple other things that are on the Analyze tab that we might want to look at are being able to take a look at changing the data source. And by the way, if you need to look at if it is connected to an external data source and you click here, you can see where it's connecting to, so that might be helpful if you're trying to track something down. Oops. And the other thing that I see on the Analyze are these 3 action buttons right here. So if I want to just wipe out everything that's in there right now, I can clear all of these fields. And what that will do is just, it doesn't delete the table, but it kind of brings me back to the beginning, so I can create again, the pivot table that I want. And there aren't a whole lot of fields in here, but if you have something that has a lot of fields and you want to just start over, that would be a really quick way to do that. And I'm just clicking undo to bring me back. Select, if I want to select certain areas of this, perhaps I just want to copy and paste the actual values that are here. I can select the entire pivot table and then just pick the values, and then I can do a Control-C and a Control-V to paste that wherever I need to. So there are some options there, and I'm just going to hit Escape to get rid of this little marquee that's running around there. And now back on the Analyze tab, I'm looking at the Move Pivot Table. So if I want to move that pivot table, I can actually select where I want it to go, and you see it's bringing up that existing worksheet, so I could just move it to another area on here, or I could move it to its own worksheet. So if you find that you're working with it and it gets a little bit bigger than what you thought and it's on the same sheet, you can move it to a new one. So easy enough to do. All right. A couple of other things here on the Analyze tab to look at are the